Okay, we're going to try this again. I am going to show you, I've filmed this a couple times different ways. The first thing that I do when I am joining my item in the round is I actually make sure my stitches are all going the same way. And what I mean by that is you don't want them to be twisted like this. You want them to go the same direction. So what I find easiest is to lay it flat and make sure that the bottom ridge is all in the center and that all my live stitches, which is what these are normally called, are on the needles and the cables. Now, when I join, normally I just do one way, although there are several ways to join, but the main way is to make sure my tail is over here. Normally for you that are throwing, you would have your yarn in this hand. I am a continental knitter, so I have my yarn, my working yarn, in my left hand as well. I don't know how to knit left-handed, so. But the way that I do this to join is, and a lot of people think you got to be right here close. I don't find that necessarily, but I generally bring my stitches to the end. Then I will start by going in knitwise, doing my knit stitch, pulling off, tightening this, and tightening this. And then I'd start my pattern, which is knit 2, purl 2, and this is the Ross hat, so there are 80 stitches. This hat I am doing knit 2, purl 2. And then I will do normal knit 2, knit 2. And I will work that way all the way around, moving my stitches as I go. When you get to this end where this one is, this is your last stitch, then I place a marker. I don't always place a marker, but that is when I will place my marker. And I always leave a little extra on my tail. I have had friends who leave just this little bitty tail. I am one of these nervous Nellies. I like to be able to weave it in quite well so that it doesn't come loose. So let me see if I can do this and get a little closer for you to see. Basically, I'm just taking the stitches off, which if you had to undo your stitches, you might do that. Okay, let's get a little bit closer here. So I'm going to hold my yarn the way that I normally hold it. If you're right-handed, you'd have it in your right hand. I'm going to do the stitch, tighten this up, tighten this up. Do the next stitch. Then I would do my purls. Like I said, I didn't like purls the other way. I don't mind the Norwegian. Don't ask me why, I don't know. But, yeah. And then you just continue around until you get to the end. And then when you get to the end, where your tail is, this stitch that's just directly left of your tail, this one here, is your last stitch. And after you've knit that, then you just need to put a place marker here. There are a couple other ways to start. I have seen several, and I will work back for you to see that as well. And I used to use this next one I'm going to show you all the time, because I just didn't feel that my stitches were tight enough. And then I learned that they can be tightened up once you get back here to that last stitch, so I just quit worrying about it. But one of the ways that I used to do that was to actually just add an extra stitch on the end. Now I've already got my tail's too short for me to do a normal way, so I'm going to do my little back hazard way. Casting that on, long tail. And then what I would do in the past was simply move this over here, tighten this, knit the first two together, and then tighten everything back up. And then continue in your pattern. I've done that way many times. It doesn't really show a big bump, so either way is fine. The only thing that you'll need to remember is that when you get to this stitch, which is actually before the ones that you knit together, this is your last stitch, and you would place your marker here. That is the only difference. Then when you are finished knitting your hat and have already cast off and bound off your stitches, whatever it is you do for your hat, DPN, that kind of thing, then you would take this tail, and I like to leave mine long so that I can weave it in, so I can weave it through here, back through here, and then several stitches, several rows, back and forth a couple of times, so it doesn't come out. And I've never had an issue with this looking funny, because there is a way that when you bring this back in, you build up the other stitch, so they look like they're just perfectly fitted together. So either way is fine when you join those together. I have seen where people have taken this stitch off, put this one over, on the other side with an extra stitch, and then put this back on their needle and start knitting. That works too, if that's something you want to do. That is not something I would normally do, but I have done it in the past. A lot of it is just playing with your stitches and getting to know your knitting. So don't be afraid of it. Try lots of methods. I hope that helps those of you who had any questions about doing knitting in the round. I have another hat going, and this one will be one that will be started working here and there in between after the other one is finished. Sorry about that. So I'll see you guys again soon, and I hope that helps.